What if you never get the sign? What if there's no perfect moment? No sudden certainty? No voice telling you which road to take? So maybe you've been waiting for something to happen before you finally make the decision. A feeling, an opportunity, a moment when everything suddenly makes sense. But what if it never comes? Because there is something strange about the biggest decisions in life. Sometimes you don't know they're right when you're making them. You only discover what they meant after you've had the courage to move. And maybe that's why you've been standing at the same crossroads for so long. Not because you don't know what you want, but because you're waiting for certainty from a life that was never going to give it to you. We imagine the right decision should always feel like the right decision. Clear, calm, obvious. As though one road will somehow light up while other roads completely disappear. But some of life's biggest crossroads don't look like that. Sometimes both roads disappear into the fog. There is no map, no guarantee, just you standing between the life you know and a life you cannot see yet. And that is where waiting can begin. Not for an answer, but for the fear to disappear. But fear doesn't always tell you to run. Sometimes it whispers, not yet. Wait until you're ready. Think about it a little longer. Maybe the timing isn't right. And the words can sound so reasonable that years can hide deep inside them. There is a wisdom in patience. There are moments when waiting is exactly the right thing to do. But there is another kind of waiting. The kind that keeps moving the starting line. The kind where tomorrow always feels safer than today. Sometimes that doesn't look like fear. Sometimes it's fear wearing the clothes of caution. We worry so much about making the wrong decision, but there is another possibility we rarely talk about. The decision we never make. The conversations we never have. The places we never visit. The things we never begin. The life we keep promising ourselves we'll explore when everything else finally feels right. We imagine standing still, keeping everything unchanged. It doesn't. Time keeps walking, even when we don't. Standing still is a choice too, and sometimes the road we regret most isn't the wrong road. It's the one we never allowed ourselves to take. Maybe you've stood somewhere like this before, a road disappearing around a corner, a path swallowed by trees, a train leaving a station. You can only see so far ahead, and yet you understand something without thinking about it. Not seeing the entire journey doesn't mean there isn't a road, but with our lives we demand something different. We want to see the ending before we begin. We want proof before commitment, certainty before courage, a guarantee before the first step. And perhaps that's why some chapters remain unopened for so long. There are things you can learn by thinking. There are things you can learn by waiting. And then there are things life refuses to explain from a distance. You cannot know what a city feels like from the departure board. You cannot know where a road changes you while staring at the map. Some questions stay unanswered because they cannot be answered where you're standing. And maybe, just maybe, that's the part we struggle to accept. We keep asking life for information that only experience can give us. Maybe courage has been misunderstood too. We picture courage as confidence, someone who knows exactly what they're doing, someone without doubt, someone unafraid. But if you knew everything would work, you wouldn't need courage. You'd simply need a set of instructions. Real courage is quieter than that. Sometimes it's a shaking hand opening a door, a ticket booked without knowing what comes after, a conversation you've rehearsed 100 times, one honest decision made while doubt is still sitting beside you. Courage isn't always knowing. Sometimes it's just being willing to find out. Think about the moments that changed your life. How many of them looked important while they were happening? Some probably felt ordinary. A conversation, a goodbye, a journey, a chance you almost ignored, a decision you nearly talked yourself out of. Only later did you understand what they became. That's the strange thing about turning points. We recognize them much more easily when we're looking backwards than standing inside them. It means right now, somewhere in your life, right now, there may be an ordinary moment quietly asking something of you, and you won't know what it means until much later. So maybe the question isn't, where is my sign? Maybe there is another question underneath it. What are you hoping the sign will give you? Certainty, permission, someone else to blame if it all goes wrong? Because sometimes we already know what we want. We just don't know what will happen if we choose it. And they're not the same thing. Maybe you've been waiting for life to remove the risk before you agree to live it. But perhaps the biggest decision were never meant to arrive without uncertainty. Perhaps that uncertainty is telling you something too. So what if you never get the sign? What if nobody ever tells you it's time? What if the fear never completely disappears? What if you reach the crossroads and both roads still disappear into the fog? Then perhaps you choose, not because you know exactly where the road leads, but because you finally understand that you cannot discover a life by standing outside it. You take one step, then another, and somewhere further down the road, you look backwards. Only then do you see what you could never see from the beginning. The decisions you were terrified of making became the conversation that changed you. The journey that shaped you, the ending you needed, the beginning you couldn't imagine. And suddenly, you understand why the sign never appeared. You were waiting for life to point towards your future when sometimes life was waiting for you to choose one. Maybe that's what courage has always been, not knowing, not being certain, and moving anyway. Because sometimes the sign doesn't come before the decision. Sometimes the decision becomes the sign. If this made you think about a decision you've been waiting to make, like the video, follow Unleash Your Storm, and subscribe for more silent battles. Now, if you also pop along to the website, there is a page where you can request a speech. So if you would like me to do a speech for you, just pop along there, add a request in there, and I'll get that. You can do it anonymously. You don't have to give me your name or any details. Just pop it in there. Thanks for watching.